Good morning. There we go. Good morning, good morning. Good morning. Happy Father's Day. Well, welcome to Unity of Fort Collins. Do we have anybody here this morning who's checking us out? A new person today? Arlene is checking us out. It's important to check out the coffee. It's important to check things out. Anybody here who's new who would like a welcome packet plunked in your hand? All right. Happy Father's Day to those online. We've had some cool things happening here at Unity. Friday night, in the pouring rain, Diana Zweigert hosted our kids at her house to check out her fairy garden. So she literally has this down in the woods. You go through the bee garden and then into the fairy garden, and you look for the hobbits and the fairies. And it was so cool. So she has invited us back in the sunshine, which would be even cooler but a fairy garden in the rain was cool. And she is our magnificent artist, so we got to see her fiber studio and all of that. So anyway, if you missed the family night, it was kind of magic, and we're going to have more of those. So just even if you don't have kids, kid energy is good for all of us, so we'll keep you posted. Our speaker today is Rev Sharon Bush, who's talking about Father's Day and fathers. What a surprise. Our reader is Holly Gates, and Elise Wonder is our musician. Thanks, Elise. We're passing around a clipboard this morning for people to sign up for the various Sunday morning duties, such as greeting, reading, and running the slideshow. So if you're interested in that, put your name on the clipboard. Question, have you lost anything at Unity recently? If so, check out the lost and found on the shelf in the west hallway near the restrooms. You probably noticed we've been having some rain, and there's a lot of green growth here. So if you can help with weeding, let Julie know in the office. We could use some help. It's kind of double time weeding at the moment. The Northern Colorado Pride celebration is Saturday, July 15th in Civic Center Park from 10 to 4. Unity will have a booth again, and we had a really great time at Pride last year. Lots of contacts, lots of sweet interaction with folks with kids, and that community always needs a place to feel safe and welcome. So we'd love to invite to share the news that we're a safe and welcoming community. Janice Ballard is coordinating, so if you're interested in helping, let Janice know. We're looking into upgrading the outdoor Unity sign to the electronic version. So if you see over on that table, we're upgrading so that we can do the electronic sign on what's currently the Unity hard structure sign where the bird is. And the community lunch bunch today is headed to Vern's place after the service. I want to just acknowledge that tomorrow is Juneteenth, which is a federal holiday, but it's considered to be Independence Day, the second Independence Day of this nation, where the last of the enslaved folks in Texas learned of the Emancipation Proclamation. So 2 years after it actually happened, the last of the enslaved folks were freed in Texas. And we don't have much chance to learn the full history of what happened in our country, because that portion of what happened to Black folks in America wasn't part of our curriculum. I had a chance, Robert and I had a chance to sail on semester at sea, and we followed the South Atlantic slave trade route from Portugal to Ghana, and saw the door of no return, where the captured and enslaved folks were put on ships, never to return to their home continent. And it touched us in a way, like all things, when you see it, you can't unsee it. And so we followed that route to Brazil and the Caribbean. And so it has become my deep responsibility to know the history beyond what I was taught. And so tomorrow is a federal holiday to celebrate the second Independence Day. So happy Independence Day to those of us who have African ancestry. All right, Courtney.
That was wonderful. Thanks, Anne. I really appreciated that. So when you came in today, you were handed 2 sheets of paper, hopefully, and if you didn't get them, they're on the table by the entry. The first is a 20% off coupon to the bookstore. This is a little different than a normal coupon. It does have an expiration date, so it goes only till the end of July, but you can use it on as many items as you want. You can use it over and over again. So if you use it today, I'll hand it back to you, and you can come back and use it again. And it's good on anything. So the hoodies, the hats, books, anything we have back there. And I did want to highlight just real quick the kids' books. We have a wonderful collection of kids' books that are based on unity principles and kindness and lovingness. And so it's a really good resource for parents, I think. And then the other sheet that it's about a new program that we have become affiliated with. It's called bookshop.org, and it's really awesome. It's just like Amazon. You go and you can order, we almost always only carry spiritual books, but you can order books from any genre, any title, any author from bookshop.org, and then there's an extension on it that links it to us. And every sale on there, we get 30% from every sale on that site. Yeah, woohoo is right. And there's even profit sharing at the end of the year. So another woohoo. But anyway, so they also have games and puzzles and things like that. I haven't actually myself explored all the things that they offer, but it's a great site. We just have it up and running, so it just has a few sort of highlighted books. But again, in the search bar on our page, you can search for any book you want. So please use it and spread the word. Tell all your friends. Ditch Amazon. Go with bookshop.org. Okay.
Woohoo! Yay! All right, friends, let's take a couple of big, deep breaths, and we'll center ourselves on this lovely day in June. Our unity centers us in light and peace, allowing us to recognize our God within and to radiate that love to the world. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Father's Day. Happy sunny morning. I remember Daddy's hands folded silently in prayer, reaching out to hold me when I had a nightmare. You could read quite a story in the calluses and lines, years of work and worry that left their mark behind. I remember Daddy's hands and how they held my mama tight, patted my back for something done right. There are things I've forgotten I loved about the man, but I will always remember the love in Daddy's hands. Daddy's hands were soft and kind when I was crying. Daddy's hands were hard as steel when I'd done wrong. Daddy's hands weren't always gentle, but I've come to understand there was always love in Daddy's hands. I remember Daddy's hands work until they bled, sacrifice unselfishly to keep us all fed. If I could do things over, I'd live my life again. Never take for granted the love in Daddy's hands. Daddy's hands were soft and kind when I was crying. Daddy's hands were hard as steel when I'd done wrong. Daddy's hands weren't always gentle, but I've come to understand there was always love in Daddy's hands. Daddy's hands were soft and kind when I was crying. Daddy's hands were hard as steel when I'd done wrong. Daddy's hands weren't always gentle, but I've come to understand there was always love in Daddy's hands. There was always love in Daddy's hands. Thank you. Now our reading by Holly.
I'm shorter than most. So I was looking today for something to read, and I've been inspired by so many of the things that you guys have shared on the Sundays I've been able to come or watch online. And I couldn't find just the right thing. So I thought, instead, I would give you a couple of thoughts that seem to fit the occasion. So the title of this that I couldn't give to Jim even as of yesterday for the slides, is Love Gives Us Superpowers. I feel like it gives us endurance, compassion, and faith. And so those are the things that I wanted to speak to. To start with, I don't think any parent is completely ready for what's coming when you agree to be a parent. Whether it's biological or family of choice, our children challenge us in ways we couldn't possibly have anticipated, as well as all the ways we thought we were solid. As we work when they're young, the sleep deprivation is incredible. You can endure things you didn't realize you could, like a month without a solid 4 hours, ever. The strength, the patience, the things you can do through love that you might not have been able to go through otherwise. I also feel like this endurance gives us superpowers. Since today's Father's Day, dad reflexes, like catching the thing that just fell off the table, or the ball that was headed for your face, or you know what I'm talking about. The car stops in front of you and suddenly you have an extra seatbelt. They can be storytellers extraordinaire, grill masters, advice givers, purveyors of puns, though in our family I think Lil holds that title. An encyclopedia of tools and trades And I can tell you, turning 45 this year, I still haven't learned everything that my dad has to teach me about fixing things and being present and all those kinds of wonderful things we can learn when our parents lead by example. As I move into compassion, I think the universe has a sense of humor with us. Call it Murphy's Law or irony. We are often sent challenges that help all of us grow. I, for example, am outgoing, and I love talking to people, and it's part of what feeds me, and God sent me an introverted, quiet child who has deep thoughts and feels really big and says, "Mom, why do you talk so much? Why do you do that?" In compassion, we can try to see and understand each other's perspectives, even when it's not something that's been quite so close to our heart before. We can stretch and grow in ways to reach out and embrace each other. And that feels like a superpower. And as they grow, so do we, in our patience, in our endurance, in our compassion. And lastly, I feel like love gives us faith. When it's hard, faith that this too shall pass, that morning will come, that the child will sleep, that we will find a way to resolve our conflicts together. That we can be stronger when it's not you versus me, but how can we both work together to get more of what we want? We do it with our children, with our partners, with our communities. And we work, when we work in good faith, to leave a more positive legacy, to become our better selves more often, quicker when we face that same challenge. So I want to say thank you to every one of you that steps up and helps someone when they need it. To the parents of by birth, to the parents of choice. I know it can inspire you to take on whole families you didn't anticipate. I think that our higher power offers us these opportunities to grow, and I am grateful. Even when it's really uncomfortable, I have learned to also be grateful. To all of you for continuing to give back to this community in whatever ways you can, because this, to me, giving to each other feels safer, and being able to feel safe in a place, to have a place to go, to talk, to be you, I think is a superpower. So, wouldn't be me if I didn't cry while I was up here. I think with balance and love that all good things are possible. And I want to wish all of you a very, very happy Father's Day.
You're making me cry. If you ever find yourself stuck in the middle of the sea, I'll sail the world to find you. And if you ever find yourself lost in the dark and you can't see, I'll be the light to guide you. Find out what we're made of when we are called to help our friends in need. And you can count on me like 1, 2, 3, I'll be there. 'Cause that's what friends are for, and I can count on you like 4, 3, 2, I'll be there. Oh yeah. Ooh, ooh, ooh. If you're tossing and you're turning and you just can't fall asleep, I'll sing a song beside you. And if you ever forget how much you really mean to me, every day I will remind you. Find out what we're made of when we're called to help our family. And you can count on me like 1, 2, 3, I'll be there. 'Cause that's what family's for, and I can count on you like 4, 3, 2, I'll be there. Ooh, oh, yeah. Oh, you always have my shoulder to cry on. I'll never let you go and never say goodbye, 'cause you can count on me like 1, 2, 3, I'll be there. 'Cause that's what family's for. I know I can count on you like 4, 3, 2, I'll be there. Oh yeah, yeah. Ooh, oh, ooh, you can count on me.
So, good morning to all of you, especially to you guys out there. Happy Father's Day. When I think of the men in this spiritual community, I know that there are many acts of kindness that you have done that are unseen. So, in this community, there are men who care about our children, who go back there and help our children. They help the kids learn that they're loved. They teach them that God loves them, and they're to love others and to love themselves. So we all have a different story here about who our fathers were. We didn't choose them, we don't think, unless it happened on the other side. And some of us were raised with fathers that taught love and spent time with you. And others were raised by fathers who were not emotionally healthy. I was one of those. For years, Father's Day was a very painful day for me. And my first Father's Day at our church in Sun City, the musician wanted to do the song, "Oh My Papa," and I knew that I wouldn't be able to sit through it without falling apart. But I've done a lot of work. And those years, Father's Day was a day of remembering my father's temper, his physical abuse, and his desertion of our family. He left my mother to support my brother and I. And my brother and I felt extreme emotional pain of being rejected by a parent. He was the father of my experiences. I grew up fast, went to work at 10, and carried a self-induced pain that I wasn't good enough. Seeing friends go to father's daughters' dances made me envious, jealous of them. And it hurt. It just hurt. If your father doesn't love you, who will? Was kind of the thought that I had back there. And so as an adult, I worked trying to block out those memories. Then I learned that acknowledging them head on would be best. I cried a lot of tears. I was angry and finally was able to heal the pain of Father's Day. When I learned the circumstances of my father's abuse when he was a child and what his life had been like, it wasn't that I didn't look at that as being wrong. It's just that I had empathy for how he was raised and for the immaturity that he had in adulthood. And I was able to forgive him. So my brother and I have shared over the years our experiences, and we acknowledge to each other that we have broken the cycle of abuse in our families. We have worked through those emotions, and in doing so, we learned a lot about ourselves. The Center for Disease Control in Atlanta found that most people repressed feelings that accompanied this type of abusive treatment. And their study found that when we repress that stuff, our chances of being ill or addicted as a child force us kind of into that type of behavior. And it usually starts in our families. So all of us, everyone here, has had situations in your life that either mentally, physically, or emotionally hurt. And we can change that. We can heal, and we can grow both emotionally and in our spiritual consciousness. Bishop John Shelby Spong, who, if you were ever blessed to hear him speak, he wrote many books. Well, one of his books was The Sins of the Scriptures. And specifically in the chapter on Proverbs, which is about relationships, he talks about the Bible passage, spare the rod, spoil the child. It's kind of how I started out raising my kids, because I didn't know different. I was a different mom between my two older girls and my two younger girls. Not that I was physically really, really abusive, but I kind of had been taught that, and I lived by that. And there's churches today that still teach that. So Spong goes on and he writes, people have been able to transform their abusive childhood situations and have learned to channel that anger into creative, not destructive ways. What usually makes the difference is the intervention into the abused child's life of a healthy, mature adult, a counselor, a teacher, a godparent, a friend, a family member. And he added, there is no one who cannot make a difference in the life of another. There's none of us, no one who cannot make a difference in the life of another. We only have to be open to the opportunity. So there's an award-winning poet named Alan Nowen, and I loved when I found what he wrote. The day a child realizes all adults are imperfect, he becomes an adolescent. And the day he forgives them, he becomes an adult. And the day he forgives himself, he becomes wise. So I don't know about you guys watching TV, but one of my very, very favorite programs is Finding Your Roots on PBS. It features guests discovering about stories within their own family. We can have family trees, but who were these people? What did they like? What did they do? So recently, there was a guest who had a grandfather with lots of greats before it. And the guest found out that he had a great who was on the Mayflower. Well, this guest was black. And through family and slavery and all of that awful stuff, he found out that this Caucasian white great was on the Mayflower. So another recent guest, an actress, had heard it whispered in her family that a great-grandparent had lived a life as passing as white. Her mother's family looked Caucasian, so she thought these secret whispers that she would hear about passing was a family myth. What was discovered in research on finding your roots was that way back, she had an African-American grandmother who was a slave in Virginia, and she gave birth to a daughter who was fathered by the white plantation owner. So over the years, the family had married Caucasians, and because of her appearance, she believed she was white. And so when she was shown the DNA results, she was thrilled to find out that she was both black and white, like a beautiful piano keys. So my aunts had shared with me that my paternal great-grandmother was Indian. And as I was going through my family stuff a couple of days ago, I found out that this great-grandmother's uncle is buried here in Fort Collins, and that I have relatives that are buried in Walden. So I need to check out those roots. So my great-great-grandmother, this is what I had heard, and when I became an empty nester, I decided to go back to college. And I started researching this history of having Native American in my family because I wanted financial aid. And what happened is I found out this great-great-grandmother was from Canada. Whoops, there goes the financial aid. So in checking and doing DNA stuff, and a congregant friend of ours in Sun City was really into it, and she searched these Canadian records and found out that they were not first people in Canada. There was a great-great-grandfather who had been honored by a tribe and made a chief in an honoring ceremony. So that myth had come down through the family that we were Indian. For years, I teased my mother, who's full-blooded German, whose maiden name was Jordan, that I was sure we were Jewish. One of the times that I skipped school, I went to a Jewish high school in Los Angeles for their Friday night dance because they had live music. It was a Jewish high school. I fit right in. So when I would say that to my mother, she'd get really mad. We're German. We're German Lutheran. Well, when I had my DNA done, guess what? It's like, okay, Mom, I know where you are now, and I bet you know this. There is a trace of Jewish blood in me. So we are special. Each one of us is special. We were created by Spirit, and we're connected by Spirit. And we carry the history of our ancestors. Their DNA makes up part of us. part of our own DNA. We grow and we learn through family traditions, family connections, and from our own personalities. We are nurtured and we also are deeply affected by our environments. Where did you grow up? So along with that, we know that we're all individuals, but we all carry the history. Avita Ellis, the Black poet, wrote, "You are who your ancestors sang about in ceremonies. You are their revolutionary prayer. You are their sacred gift to the world." So each moment we live is a new and unique moment, a moment that will never, ever be again. And what do we teach our children? That 2 and 2 make 4? That Paris is the capital of France? When will we teach them what they are? We should say to each one of them, do you know who you are? You're a marvel. You are so unique. In all the years that have passed, there's never been another child like you. Your legs, your arms, your clever fingers, the way you move. You may become a Shakespeare, a Michelangelo, or a Beethoven. You have the capacity for anything. Yes, you are a marvel. And when you grow up, you can possibly harm another that is a marvel like you. So you must work. We all must work to make the world worthy of our children so they tell each other what a marvel they are. And I believe that those words apply to us. There's never been another adult like you. You are the place where God shows up. You are special. You are kind. You are expressions of love. Last Sunday, after service, how we meander around, I was just almost overcome by the energy in this room. The beautiful, loving energy that fills this place. It made me feel so blessed to be part of you. So there's a scene in the movie Maverick with James Gardner, Jodie Foster, and Mel Gibson. And James Gardner says, "Thank God for motherhood. You know, without mothers, none of us would be here." And Mel Gibson says, "Oh, now wait a minute, just wait a minute. What about fathers? Without them, none of us would be here either." That's true, huh? So the concept about real men has changed in our society. And I would like to read you some tongue-in-cheek excerpts from the book, Real Men Don't Eat Quiche. And I know that's not true right off the bat. So there was once a nation of real men, guys who could destroy an entire forest to make breakfast fire, and then wipe out an endangered species for lunch. Not anymore. We have become a nation of wimps. It's not enough that we earn a living and protect women and children from plagues, famine, and encyclopedia salesmen. Now we're supposed to be supportive and even be understanding and sincere. Where has it gotten us? We used to create things like the Panama Canal, 57 Chevys, and the front line of the Green Bay Packers. It worries me that 10 million years from now, we're going to be remembered as the society that created frozen yogurt, salad bars, and restaurants that spin. I ask you, when America was king, was Clark Gable worried about giving women enough space? Was Bogart ever lonely because he couldn't find a meaningful dialogue? Would we have won World War II if Ike thought Hitler was just going through a midlife crisis? Real men have always lived by one simple rule: never settle with words what you can accomplish with a flamethrower. But if you want to see what's happening to us now, look at the movies of today. Instead of having John Wayne fight the Nazis for peace and democracy, we have movies in the last decade like Dustin Hoffman fighting his wife for a 6-year-old in Kramer versus Kramer. It's no wonder things are so mixed up. 40 years ago, the Duke would have shipped the kid off to military school, but not anymore. Yet strength and bravery are still the hallmark of real men. He's just found different ways to show it. Males in our society are going through an amazing transformation. There's a revolution happening in this country. It's happening in a big spiritual way on the male side of the race. In the past, on even any given Sunday, you would find 90% of the people in a congregation were women because they were open to their spirituality. Men are now in the congregations, growing in numbers. Men are seeking spiritual teachings, and we're grateful. So it's no secret that men are going in consciousness from a Rambo experience to being aware that they are one with spirit. That's such a wonderful thing. So one man said, I became what I consider a real man on the day my daughter was born. With all the joy that brought, it also brought a great deal of fear. I was at the hospital, and I faced something I didn't really know a thing about. I knew it was coming, but I was scared. I had what they called sympathetic labor pains. I was bent over in pain. I think it was the anticipation of what was to come, and questions inside of me like, was I good enough? Would I be a good father? Did I know how to be a good father? After all, I've never been a father. The man admitted he was very surprised when she came into the world that she didn't come with an owner's manual. Everything I've ever had in my life came with an owner's manual. Being a real man, I don't read the owner's manual, but it's nice to have it. It's nice to know that in extreme emergency, I could turn to the owner's manual. Don't we all wish we would have had one of those? So it's not the owner's manual, however. There is a marvelous book called Parenthood Without Hassles. Well, almost. And there's 10 things that are recommended, 10 commandments for parents in this book. I wish I had read it before I had kids. My hands are small, so please don't expect perfection whenever I make a bed, draw a picture, or throw a ball. My legs are short, so please slow down so I can keep up with you. Number 2, my eyes have not seen the world as yours have. Please let me explore safely and don't restrict me unnecessarily. 3, adult work will always be there. I'm only little for a short time. Please take time to explain things to me about this wonderful world. My feelings are so tender. Please be sensitive to my needs. Treat me as you would like to be treated. I'm a special gift from God. Please treasure me as God intended you to. Holding me accountable for my actions, giving me guidance to live by, and most of all, love me. 6, I need your encouragement to grow. Please go easy on criticism. Remember, you can criticize the things I do without criticizing me. 7, please give me the freedom to make the decisions myself. Permit me to fail so I can learn from my mistakes. Then someday I'll be prepared to make the kind of decisions that life requires of me. 8, please don't do things I do over for me. Somehow that makes me feel my efforts don't quite measure up. I know it's hard, but please don't compare me to my brother or sister or the neighborhood kids. Please take me to Sunday school and church, setting a good example for me to follow. I enjoy learning about God, and I think it will be the foundation of my life. So becoming a father is easy enough, but being one can be rough. On top of being a provider, a protector, and a playmate, it's a father's job to be strong but gentle, decisive but fair, and to guide and teach me how to love. As one child put it, my daddy could climb the highest mountain, swim the biggest ocean, fly the fastest plane, and fight the strongest tiger. He could build a castle and be a king, even though most of the time he just puts out the garbage. Fathers are imposing, no matter what size they come in. It is an unusual child who unreservedly approves of his or her father. By the time you realize your dad was almost always right, you have kids of your own. So today we hold fathers and grandfathers in our heart. And we know that a father does the best he can with the knowledge and experience he has. We celebrate fathers and grandfathers and give thanks for the many ways they have blessed our lives. So we'll go into meditation. And as we do, I invite you to see your father in your TV screen.
thoughts are prayers, and we are always praying. Our thoughts are prayers. Listen to what you're saying. Seek a higher consciousness, a state of peacefulness, and know that God is everywhere. And every thought's indeed a prayer.
So we hold in our hearts, we see in our minds our fathers, our earth fathers. We don't know why they were our fathers, but they were. They were our experience of a father. So if your childhood road was crooked, full of thorns and pain along the way, embrace it. If your childhood journey was beautiful, you knew love, you knew you were cared for, embrace it. We come to this time and this place from different experiences. But as you ponder your father, rejoice in what was good. Even if the only thing you can rejoice in is that you learned easy because somehow he did. Rejoice in the lessons that you have learned because the household you were raised in. Those lessons might have helped you grow. Those lessons might have hindered you. But today, that experience was yours. It's part of what makes you who you are today. So forgive what needs to be forgiven and leave it behind. And take what you learned, what you felt that was good, and embrace it today. So we go into the silence with those thoughts and those feelings. I release and I let go. And I let Spirit guide my life. So thank you, Creator. Thank you for being my guide. Thank you for the people in my life today. Thank you for the joy I feel in my heart. And so it is.
May the blessings of God rest upon me. May God's peace abide in me. May God's presence illuminate my heart now and forevermore. The blessings of God rest upon you. May God's peace abide in you. May God's presence illuminate my heart now and forevermore. May the blessings of God rest upon us. May God's peace abide in us. May God's presence illuminate our hearts now and forevermore. Now and forevermore.
Well, good morning. And Elise and Holly and Sharon, you've done a magnificent job of kind of defining what it means to be a man and a father and a dad and so forth. And we'll try to live up to it somehow. Okay? It's time for our offering. And I want to invite each and every one of you to be part of this magnificent community as you give. And also as you're being involved. We've got so many things to be involved in. You know, planting gardens and running technology and the music program, choirs, on and on and on. Don't wait to be invited. Just find something that strikes you and just jump in with us. We'd love to have more of what we have right now. So if the ushers would come forward, let's bless our offering together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God.
Please join me in singing. May God bless and keep you always. May your wishes all come true. May you always do for others and let others do for you. May you build a ladder to the stars, climb on every rung, and may you stay forever young, forever young, forever young. May you stay forever young. May you grow up to be righteous. May you grow up to be true. May you always know the truth and see the light surrounding you. May you always be courageous, Stand upright and strong, and may you stay forever young, forever young, forever young. May you stay forever young. May your hands always be busy. May your feet always be swift. May you have a strong foundation when the winds of change shift. May your heart always be joyful. May your song always be sung. And may you stay forever young. Forever young. Forever young. May you stay forever young. One more time. Forever young. Forever young. May you stay forever young.
And thank you again, Elise. We have some young ones coming, the real young ones now, not you. I'd like them to come in and let's sing them in.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Here on the corner of Lines and Vine, I'm gonna let it shine. Here on the corner of Lines and Vine, I'm gonna let it shine. Here on the corner of Lines and Vine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, yeah. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Okay, who wants to be the spokesperson?
So today we talked about our affirmation for our third week of our 7-week thing, and our affirmation for this week was love, and we made masks that represented it. At first glance, mine doesn't really look like it, but that's just because I haven't written. I made a mess is if the Monopoly man was 1,000 times richer. But he shares money with people who need it.
We talked about love, and we made masks that we think looks like love.
Anyone else wants to share? Well, thank you for being here. Thank you.
Let's share.
I don't really know what I did. I just did something.
Okay, you kids can go and to your parents. Let's all stand and circle up on this beautiful morning. Can we stretch it out? Can we make a circle? Sure. Come on. Come on. Okay. So first of all, we have our prayer protection and the peace song. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.